It's, we make sure it's guaranteed money right then and there.
Right.
Another thing is completion bonds. Making sure you have a completion bond that is actually gonna get done. There's companies like Film Hedge and Bonded, I don't know if you ever heard of those companies. Start looking them up. It's Film Hedge and Bonded. They fund a lot of films, but these are the criteria that you need even to work with them, to submit something to them. I think John over at Film Hedge,
Josh, right?
John, well, I know John, was he at the?
Yeah. With the camera.
Yeah. John, I think he funds films from 3 million to 25 million. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have to fit within inside these certain criteria. If you come to us without this stuff, then, you know,
Right.
the people who has this whole complete package when they're submitting things, we're gonna look at them first because we know it's guaranteed. You know what I mean? We know the money, you know, it's gonna happen. Yeah, so that's what the tax credits, completion bond, product placements. Actually, somebody needs to start a company that does all product placements for films.
Can you describe what an example of product placement for
Product
people?
placement is the Italian Job. Everybody seen that movie?
Yeah.
It's paid for by Mini. The whole movie was paid for by Mini Cars.
I mean, sure, that's another way of, put it on things, product, and then, okay, we showed that movie, all right, what's up, here's the money.
Yep. So these big companies, big corporations, they have billions of dollars that they set aside just to get placement.
There used to be a couple companies back in about 15 years ago that they had, you would go to one and they'd have Coffee Bean, Samsung, and they'd have a slate that you can just go to them and you can use all their products. But you just negotiate with them, and the other one would have Starbucks and the other computer companies and things like that. I forgot the names of them, but they used to have them about 15 years ago.
Yeah, hey man, if you know, I need like three, four of those companies. Actually, I was thinking about starting a company like that just focuses on that for businesses. But I know one of my friends was the one who secured Audi for Iron Man, and that was a very, very, very huge check. But so you have to think outside the box when you get into product placements. You know, if you're shooting a film or a scene that has to do with a cell phone, you know, don't be afraid to hit up Cricket. And I know it sounds really corny, or you know, nobody really has Cricket. You know what I mean? But hey, they'll cut you a check for $5-10 grand. But you have to, and you're not selling your film.
Just put that product.
It's like a promo.
Yeah, it's a promo film. But see, this is another thing too, where people get it wrong, where they say, yo, I want to get this product in your film. My film is about this. My film is about. They don't care about your film. Sorry to say that. They care about who's using the product or what the product, who's in the scene with the product. So that's what you sell. You sell the opportunity to be with a Iron Man. If Iron Man jumps in Robert, if he jumps in the car and drives off and speeds off in a brand new Audi, I'll pay $1 million for that. You know what I mean? That's who they care about. They don't care about what the film is about or how big it is or anything like that. They just care that they can take that clip with their product in that scene and use it on social media, use it to influence that person's users or that person's fan base to actually, you know what I mean, engage with their products. So that's one thing on selling product placements. Don't sell your film, sell the person that's going to be using it. Okay.
I have a question. Have you ever gotten in a situation where you've got a product placement and you've gotten a little pushback from the actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the actors, they know that they should get a little bit more money from that.
Yeah.
When in that case, before you engage with that actor, you need to find out, do you have any brand deals? Do you have any partnerships? What are you open to? What are you ain't open to? And there's other slick ways to actually do it. When I had my magazines, you know, the gentleman named Joe Exclusive, he told me about selling products because we shot Justin Timberlake for the cover. He was like, yo, you know, if you tell Justin to wear a t-shirt and take a picture of it, you know, that's Justin endorsing. You know what I mean? So if you go directly to the artist, the talent, they're gonna give you pushback every single time. But in that case, you would go to the stylist. The stylist tells the actor what to wear. They don't question the stylist. They may say, oh, I don't like this color, I don't like that. They don't say they're not gonna do it. The same thing where we was doing partnerships for Hypnotic, the alcohol Hypnotic, through various different media. Instead of paying the artist to represent the brand, we would give the marketing dollars to the music directors. The music directors control what happens on set. So the product automatically gets into the video on set. The artists don't care, the artists don't say anything about it because that's the director that's controlling that atmosphere. So if you're directing the film and there's an actor in there, just write it in the scene that he picks up a bottle of water.
But that bottle of water is designed. Just
No, that bottle of water is a paid placement.
exactly. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're telling, like, you're the director, so you're directing them, this is part of the scene, this is it. Or hurry up, jump on a computer, or you know what, try this clothes on before you get ready and it doesn't fit. Or this one looks good, but you don't like it. And then you ask, hey, does this one look good on me? But it's that somebody paid you for that. They'll take that clip and just run with that. But you don't have to, it's not like, it's a gray area.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a gray area when you do that, but that's how you get around it. You know what I mean? And we've done that plenty of times. You know? Okay?
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you've made that you've now learned how to apply to your business going forward?
To my business?
Yeah, to your business model, to everything you're doing. Biggest mistakes that you've learned from?
Growing too fast. I didn't follow my own rules with Fire. My rule that I had with my magazine was, and the reason why my magazines lasted for 15 years was, I was the one paying for the printing of those magazines. Everybody always, I had 127,000 copies in circulation for my hip hop magazine, True Magazine. It was the #3 magazine in the United States. The reason why it lasts is because I kept it at what I can pay for and afford to do. Everybody else was like, yo, you need to do this, yo, you need to go here, you need to do that. So when we started Fire, I got happy and I got excited and I scaled my burn rate of my employees from $22,000 to $68,000 a month. Worst thing I ever did. Because if you don't have the revenue coming in automatically to subside that $68,000 a month, you start running through all the money that you raised or the money that you have. So growing too fast, I got too happy, and I wasn't prepared for it. And I started to move at a level of a couple of my friends, oh, yo, you need a programming director for this one. Oh, yo, you need programming in this. Or, yo, you need to have that. And we was maintaining without that. But because you wanted to have the look, I grew too fast. You know what I mean? That's one mistake. The next mistake is making sure you have the right people around you. You have to vet the people that you work with. Like, even though, you know, they're cool, you're qualifying your business, you're selling yourself to work with them, they have to qualify to work with you. And if you don't have your standards, if you don't have your check marks on every single thing with that, then it's gonna be bad. You know, that was something that I learned over the years of me having businesses, messing up some great relationships, you know, failing at a lot of different things, is about knowing the people, knowing your team, knowing the strengths. I have a problem where I see where that person can go, and it'll be easy for me. Like when he said about the music and everything, like, oh, I can plug in with. When he said that, he just sold the track. I'm like, I'm about to call my friend Caleb for real, and be like, yo, my man got some tracks. But he may not be ready for that right now, at that level. But to me, it's so easy for me to do that and to plug somebody, but they may not be ready to actually make that move. So I move too fast. So, but you have to move at the level of your team that they are at and use them for what they're good for. Good.
Speaking about team, vetting people, one thing, but what would you think is the number one characteristic or quality of that person to be a teammate of yours now?
It depends. It depends on how you, where you at and what you need them for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an open question.
Well, I'll get very specific. All right, we're trying to build an agency, a creative agency of young people, old people, anybody that has an interest in being part of something that will scale so that it can become a program called an apprenticeship program. What kind of people would I be looking for to build this thing at the outset? Creative people or more teammates or both, or what?
The first thing you have to do, in my opinion, is you have to build out the foundation and build out what lane you're going to be in. So you need somebody that's admin. You need somebody that's organized to actually map it out, write it out. You have to put it on paper. You know, are you going to hire these creative people or are you going to partner with these creative people? What is the process that you're going to go through with them? Say he has a production company, production company. So if I'm the agency that brings it, all the work comes to, and I funnel the work out, I just take 20% of what he gets paid, 20%. Now I'm the agency. Or another business model is, I'm the agency that everything comes to, and he's on my payroll, and he works with me. So it depends on if you're empowering to actually, for them to own their own, or empowering them for them to get a job. Whatever your business model is for the creative agency, that's what you have to define first. And then you have to have somebody to be able to pencil that. And then you can scale accordingly based on after you find out your business model. And then you can start putting tiers into play. You can get someone that's creative and sit there and say, there's my tier A guys, my tier B guys, my tier C guys. And your tier C guys is the guys that's just starting out. B is, they're good, they got some good things, but then you have your cream of the crop where you get your $20,000, your $50,000, your $100,000 projects, and you put them in. Now this is not going to work as much as the B and C, because your B and C, you may get the low hanging fruit, which is, let me do a music video for $2,500, let me do this, and everything like that. So it just depends on what you need. But every business, every person in this room, because I've needed it, you need an advisor. You need somebody that has done it before. You know, I was in I do this thing called Billionaires Lunch, and a guy said something that was really crazy at the luncheon. He said, somebody was talking about becoming a billionaire. And my other guy jumped around and said, like, yeah, well, I don't see no billionaires in the room, so I don't know if we can become a billionaire. Meaning, somebody has to already have done that to show you how to do it. Mm-hmm. It's very few and far between that you succeed at a certain level without having that. I think there's an article that came out about Star Wars. So the movie of Star Wars is basically like life. There's always a Yoda in everybody's life. There's always a Yoda. There's always an enemy or something you gotta overcome or something you gotta get past. Or something you're fighting for. There's always that happening in life. You yourself, you're either the hero or the person working towards that or helping somebody become that hero. That's Star Wars. Everything's like that. So the first thing I would do to answer your question is admin, write it out, and then whatever that business model is, start plugging people into that business model. And it depends on what level you're going to work into.
Okay, great. I don't want to be the only person asking questions. Okay.
Well, it's not too far, but he and I can talk about, we talked about this yesterday, I explained that to him yesterday. My question was more going back to product placement. So, when you say you barter the actor or actresses that are in the program, do you also barter the audience that you're aiming for?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all. But the actor or the person in there defines your targeted audience. So when you put somebody in a movie, And if you put Will Smith in a movie, you know what you're gonna get.
Besides the slap in the face.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you know the type of audience. You know the type of audience that you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? If you put Cat Williams in, you know you're gonna get an urban, funny, you know. So what you'll do is you'll kind of look at the stats. There's a company called United Sponsors United, or United Sponsors. It's $12,000 a year to actually engage with them, but they give you data based off of what companies are spending money where. So if you do have a Cat Williams inside your film and you want to do product placement with Cat Williams, you look at where Cat Williams is popular in the urban cities. Whatever companies are spending money in those urban cities, that's who you hit up, because the demographics fit and match. So that's a little bit of homework that you have to do before you start presenting. I think Canva makes everything more easier now to make these decks that you can start sending out to people.
Amen.
You know what I mean? If everybody gets tech savvy. AI can write up your script and write everything. Learn AI. AI is the future, dude.
Of course.
AI is the future. AI is eliminating jobs and building jobs. If you know how to use it. Go ahead.
And yeah, on that note, because I am interested in know like a couple scripts, one short form and then one more longer form, like a sitcom. What advice would you give me when it comes to that and AI?
Use the AI to your best ability to help you write scripts.
Okay. And then like
Prompt it and say, I am prompt, :/ act like Tyler Perry writing the script for blah, 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 put this in here, blah, 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 and it'll give you, spit out something that Tyler Perry would write.
I was gonna say for writers, by the way, if you already have a script, put it into the AI and say, can you please find the plot holes in my story? And then you have them look for the plot holes in your story, and AI will spit out, wait a minute, what happened here, what happened there, so that might be a way for By the way,
AI
Next to the legs of everybody.
Yeah.
But here's a question, big question. So I know AI is great to do like kind of some structure of a film or maybe a sentences, like he said also. But what if I write a scene, okay? And I know where to put this punctuation, this comma and everything, because I want to say it like that. So how AI is gonna do that?
You have to prompt it to say it.
Yeah, but okay, if we have a kind of a scene, me and you right now, and I want to say this kind of words here and there, so it's in my mind, because this is what I want to say. This is our original words, original scene. Now AI, how is going to know what I'm thinking and how I'm going to, you know?
See, you have to use AI for what it's for. You have to use AI to give you the framework and to start it out. When you're reading it, you edit it to, nah, this way it sound better, this way.
For that, yes, but you still have to write this.
Yeah, no, you still have to edit the script. It becomes editing.
See, the question I have is this, because, I mean, my heart sunk a little bit, like I understand that, you know, AI is a tool, it's not going anywhere. We're gonna have to get used to it, otherwise we're gonna be left behind. The question that I have is, if I put something that I wrote into AI, has anyone ever experienced, or what are the ramifications of doing that? Like, does it train on some of your stuff? Will it train on some of the input that you've done? Will it use some of your plot and spit it out somewhere else? So that's something I'm definitely scared of.
There's nothing you can do about that.
And that's one of them things that there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The AI learns from everything on the internet. So if you put it on the internet, somebody else knows about it. May not be the same direction, may not be the same thing, but yeah, that's just what it is.
Once you put it out there, yeah.
Based off of the past, by the way, so in other words, everyone was inspired by previous movies to do their
Yeah.
movies before, so there's no idea that hasn't really been thought of until it's an actual true life story or something like that, so they thought of it already. It's who gets it done first.
Has anybody made any money from their films or projects?
We did well.
Well, yeah, Chris, tell a little bit about your project and what you've learned from it and how. Yeah.
First, get the girl into me, get the girl into me, get the girl into me. Just watch it.
Did you go directly to it, or did you
I know I did. So at first what happened was I bifurcated. So I started off as an actor and I worked with a lot of Turner Burn films. So I consulted a lot of producers who I worked with before, like, hey, I'm shooting a film, I'm self-funding it, you know, I'm looking at distributors right now, and I talked with a couple of people. So what I did was I bifurcated my rights. I kept my domestic, and then I had a sales agent to cover international. So essentially, before we did anything, I knew it wasn't going to be a festival piece. It was a genre film. I paid for one name actor that I could put on. I cut the trailer myself, and then we ended up getting an international sales agent for that. So as far as like streaming and VOD, like Tubi by far paid the most. But essentially, we used Film Hub as an aggregator. So domestically, we kind of went through a lot of people. Like we went through Amazon, and I think we did our QCS prior to I think it was Amazon standards, because I think they're the most stringent, so that we can place other places. But essentially, we made it for cheap, or cost effective. I'm gonna say cheap. We did it. It wasn't cheap for me because I cut every check. But we made it at a specific price point. We had started getting a name talent, which was probably the most expensive part of it. And then internationally, we had a good deal, but where we kind of messed up is, you know, this sales agent you pick is your life blood. So, you know, but we're still doing our well. But I made a lot of money, the DVDs. Yeah, so I was like, essentially, if I sell 1,000 of these, now what I did is I did a package. So, you know, we did a whole premiere, we did 4 walls, and we did a package where you get, I actually printed up, this is a double disc, so it's on DVD, and I also have the music rights. So when I went to Artlist, it has an in perpetuity license for all the music. So essentially, I took all the music, curated it, and I made a double disc, and we did $100 for a package for everything before it's released. So I was like, look, as long as I sell 1,000 of these, I've made my budget back. So essentially, the physical media was where we made a lot of it up, and then the rest of the online stuff, that was kind of like icing on the cake. Like, I'm still in the hole with that way.
When you get one thing, everybody, when you get a deal with Tubi, like, and not saying anything, because I have aggregators too.
Yeah.
Understanding your paperwork, when you say understanding the business, understanding your paperwork of distributing, when you go through a sales agent, you have to make sure what the actual numbers are. Because, hypothetically speaking, not saying no names, there was a gentleman that came over to Vire, and he wanted me to give him an 80-20 deal. And I told him no. He said, well, that's what Tubi's doing. Then I broke it down to him. He's not dealing directly with Tubi, he's dealing with the aggregator. Not a problem. How you get in there is how you get in there. But Tubi has a deal with the aggregator. So that could be a 50-50 deal. Then you're getting 80% of that 50%. So understand the money that you're leaving on the table. And you have to be okay with that. So if you got $1,000 from your aggregator deal, they probably made $5,000 on your deal. But you have to be okay with that until you get into the door. So when you do those deals with the aggregators, one thing a lot of people don't they don't show up for the meetings. They don't show up to go sit down with Tubi. They don't go into the room or to go into the marketing meeting, or if Tubi's having a conference, or that distributor's having a conference or a meeting or something like that. You never say, hey, I want to go with you. You're my aggregator. I'm going to go with you. To understand that, so that your next deal could be a better deal. You said something about selling international rights.
Yeah.
Did you do it per territory or
So they're doing it per territory. What happened was, so actually you're 100% right, because I'm the type of guy who's like, I will go to all the markets. I will meet all the people. Like we went to Berlin, we went to Barnale, we went to Cannes, we went everywhere. But the problem that I was going with my distributor, because I was a first-time filmmaker too, so I didn't know much, is, you know, they did not want me there. And understandably, they're doing some business there, but they didn't want me there as to, A, you know, they didn't want to reveal their sources. They didn't want to be direct, and they didn't want to out themselves. So essentially, I should have fucking sued his ass. I should have sued. So what happened was, well, I would have paid hundreds of dollars after, like, legally it doesn't make sense for the type of movie that we did. But essentially, he only had my international rights. But since the movie, like, the poster is fire. They would have meetings, and then other domestic distributors would say, oh, well, you got this. And then he would come with me like, oh, we have a domestic deal on the table. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You don't have my domestic rights. Why are you pitching me to the company? It happened several times. But once the company sees your film, they see your film. So now I'm in a position where I was like, okay, well, now, you know, if they say no, it's just a no, you're in the system. So I'm just like, well, I need to see the terms of those deals. And that would never happen because he didn't want to include me. And so there's a lot of deals that kind of got blown up. And there's a lot of there's a lot of money that we couldn't access because we already got no's from somebody with a lesser relationship with that distributor, so we got fucked. So long story short, even though I had it on paper and we had a really good deal, as he was stepping and operating outside of our contract, and I didn't have the money to litigate and all that other shit. And it's like, and even then, this is like, at this level, I'm gonna end up paying more money fighting him in court than I would have made.
How'd you get with film?
I met them. I met them, like everybody I talked to. I met in Cannes, so I talked with them a couple of times.
In Cannes?
Yeah, I can't. I say Cannes?
Con?
Yeah, Cannes.
Con.
It's funny because I speak
Well-
French. I still can't.
We say kindness.
You are Italian, sir. But before so when you use your own money, I was incredibly, like, I did crazy due diligence because I'm like, look, you know, the partner I had before, I was like, I had a feeling you can afford to take $100,000 hit because you come from money. I can't. So I need this to work. So before I did anything, I went out. I talked to different distributors. I went to a different, it's kind of like a traveling circus, you know, if you've ever been. Like, there's all the guys on the floor in the palais, and then there's the motherfuckers in the suites who you need appointments to meet. So the first guy ever sold the film, he had one of the suites, and he fucking loved it. And he was like, oh, cool. Until this day, my lawyer is like, you need to go back and fucking talk to him, because when it comes to selling territories, he's a fucking man, and he makes people money. I fucked that up because my partner, who was doing all my posts for me, we had a deal. He was like, look, your distribution is set already because I'm gonna do all your posts for you if we go to this distributor. And this guy who I know he's my homie. Long story short, the only reason why we went with him is because his partner was, they were roommates. So he's like, I can check his books. I know if he's, you know, I know I can limit his expenses and do all the things to make sure that we don't, you know, get screwed. But long story short, it was just the one pony, and you know, but we went territory to territory.
Film had, when I started Bayer, they gave me 4,000 titles.
Yeah.
On film. They gave me 4,000 titles, and as of today, I probably only have 800 left out of that 4,000. Just because of the quality of the movies that we were just grabbing everything, just grab that fit. That make it make sense. But no, that's a great resource, a starting resource. One thing I do want to say that, and I hear it a lot, is we need to, not we, but as film creators, some people get too attached to projects. Meaning, oh, this is my baby, oh, this is my baby. You're not a film, you're a film creator. So you're gonna make more than one project, more than one film. Let that one film go. If it's a deal on the table and you got it right there, leverage that deal to get to the next deal. It's always about your next deal. It's always about what you're doing next. That's why we like buying slates rather than buying one film. I could do a one-off with you, but that doesn't do nothing for me. And I got 6,000 films on my platform. I'd rather do 5 or 10 with you. So let's plan out the next 5 years, 4 years, and let's lock in that way. So if you start using that mind frame that you're a film creator, a content creator, then more doors will open up and you're not gonna be so attached to projects. Also, there's a million jobs in this industry. Like y'all do music. I don't know if have you ever thought about scoring music, scoring films?
No.
It's a lot of money in scoring films. It's a hell of a lot of money in scoring films. One of my friends, his name is Ray. He
Ray
got
Daniels?
no, not Ray Daniels. I know him too, but another Joe. He's a producer. He's a music producer. He was doing it inside of his house for fun. I told him about this company called Taxi. It's a sync licensing company. I told him, start throwing your little songs up on there. Taxi hooked him up with CSI Miami.
Oh, wow.
So it was a running scene. So for that running scene for 20 seconds, he got paid $6,800. He quit his job. And now that's all he does is submit, and he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars scoring films. He still loves the music because he's around it, still into the film and the content creating, and like it's just amazing. Upstairs,
When you just say that, it's just amazing. Yeah, you have to be amazing to score a good,
No.
film. It's not easy. You have to be an artist, you have to love music, you have to be into that.
And because easy, we make things harder than what they are.
Right.
We're in our own minds going, oh man, I can't do it. You make it easy. If at his level, at their level of doing beats and everything like that, how many content creators is on social media that need music?
Right.
Yo, dude, look, I'm scoring films, I'm scoring your music video, I'm scoring your short film, I score your short film $1,500. You do 10 of them a month, that's $15,000 a month. Your life changes. When you start thinking things in micro instead of all this big thing, then it becomes really easy to do. It's easy to do a streaming network, especially in today's world. But people think it's hard. You know, it's easy to get distribution. Like I said earlier, just get into the room. If you get into the room with the guys that, like even with me, when I came to California, because I'm from Philadelphia, when I came to California, I wanted to learn about commercial real estate. So I ended up going on LinkedIn, finding out all the top guys in commercial real estate in Los Angeles. I found out that they always go to lunch at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. So every week, and I didn't have the money, every week I took $100, it's $400 a month, and I went to sat in the same spot, got to know the bartender, got to know the waitress and everything like that. One day that bartender said, hey, Erie, yo, Dave, he does media, y'all need to talk. And he bought one of my magazines. And in return of me selling one of my magazines to him for a low price, teach me commercial real estate. As of today, right now, he makes $22 million a month. He has like maybe 36,000 square feet of commercial real estate between Beverly Hills and Santa Monica and everything like that. But if I wouldn't have put myself in that position. Some people think, oh, it's hard to do that, it's hard. No, put yourself in a goddamn position. At your level. You don't have to do it at their level. I took $100 a week. And I was paid $30 for a goddamn salad. And I'm working $20 for a drink. And I tip a bartender $25. But I'm buying my shirts over at Marshall's because I wanted to have you know what I'm saying? But you have to put yourself in that position. And you have to humble yourself and really have a plan. Like when you start an agency, have a plan. I've written that out. I need to learn commercial real estate. I don't want to go to school for it. I don't do good in school. Me in school is not cool. You know what I mean? I didn't go to college to do what I do. I've learned it all myself by trial and error, and then also by surrounding yourself with people that's way better than you. You know what I mean? Way better.
Yeah, Dave, I invited each one of these people here for a specific reason. And the backstory for each one of them, I kind of want to set them up and then have them talk a little bit more about what I see in them and where I want them to be able to be part of the fabric of what it is that I think we're doing with this agency. And so I'm going to start with some people that I think are part of the team. I just haven't put them in a position to play a role just yet. They've just been kind of helping me out right now. And they both walked in a little later, so I want to have them introduce themselves. So David, first, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, David? I'm David. We run a small creative production studio here in Los Angeles, but one of our services is instructional design. So for learning and technology, through learning and technology. So we come in and work with people like Kevin, who has the idea of doing the agency and stuff like that. And we help them build the infrastructure in it through online training programs, things of that nature, through instructional design. So that's the reason why I'm here.
And also, he has a heart for something, for a modality or for a group of people that.
We also run a nonprofit organization for that is going to be a institute, college, if you will, for people with learning disabilities, which has not been done except for on the East Coast. There's like 1 or 2 colleges that do that, have campuses and dorms and everything else. So it's a regular school. We want to do that here on the West Coast. So we have an advisory group, board of advisors, and we have other people that are interested in working together and things of that nature to make that happen. And that's what we do. That's the 2 things.
Right. And it's an important backstory to that is that I've had a couple of apprentices who have learning disabilities but don't know that they have them. They've never been tested, or their parents haven't supported their need to get the support that they need to get to independent living, to adulthood. And one of the things that I want to do is to try and challenge, especially the school districts, K through or 10th through 12th grades, to try and get through the stigmatism of allowing our kids to try and make it through without any support or without any peer-to-peer mentoring or support from people like David. Because my people, great editors, great musicians, but when it came time for them to have the confidence to compete, they just don't have it. And they need something. And I want to be able to figure out how to put a spotlight on folks who have all the talent in the world, but just are missing a couple of pieces.
So through the instructional design piece that I just explained, we will formulate this institution to be able to help these students from beginning after they get out of college or high school, depending on where they're coming from, into the workforce. Mm-hmm. For both from a business standpoint and from a social standpoint, based on their individual diagnoses.
And what's the program? Is it New Horizons?
The institute's called New Horizons Institute.
Oh, no, they're the program, the Minds program. That's won Emmys and Grammys and Oscars.
Oh, there is a school in the Valley called Exceptional Minds. You might want to look them up, especially in your industry, because a number of their students have won awards for Black Panther. They do a number of stuff for Marvel. They do stuff for Sony. They also do stuff for Pixar. Disney. They do a number of different visual effects, and they base their whole program around learning disability. All their students are learning disabled students, so they go to the academy, and then they have a studio on the side which runs all their profit stuff.
Okay.
And so we're similar in a sense, but we are more for the full gamut. So you may not be in the entertainment industry, but you may want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a mechanic, you want to be those kind of things, but you need a mechanism to get through. The vocational program is going to take you through based on your diagnosis. How to get you through that program. That's essentially what the New Horizons Institute is for.
Okay. Definitely got to learn more, man.
Sorry, sure.
Great. Thank you, Dave. And the next person, Ted Milner, if you can, just a little background on how we met and just some of the things you've been doing to help us.
Yeah, I did. So before I start, I'm really impressed with the things you were saying today, particularly on making things a lot smaller and digestible for people to fulfill their vision. That's really empowering. So what I do, my wife and I own an entertainment employment agency that we owned for about 36 years. Servicing companies like Disney, Paramount, Warner Brothers, CAA, and many of the other talent agencies. We place thousands in the industry, and many that are now executives controlling the content of what you and I see on the big screen or on TV. In addition to that, in 2010, we launched ECOP, Entertainment Industry College Outreach Program. Under that umbrella is HBCU in LA. So we bring students from HBCUs to the entertainment industry and the intern at those studios and networks. All their housing's paid for and all their internships are paid. We had about 100 last year in LA, 25 in New York, and 9 in Atlanta. And so we're looking at Nashville now. But in a nutshell, that's what we do. What's that?
How long have you been doing that?
Since 2010.
2007? Oh, wow.
So
Executive Temp started in what,
in 89.
1989.
But from that was her, she's a former assistant to the chairman of NBC and Harold Richards.
Okay.
And so we launched it out of that as an employment agency, and she wrote a book on how to leverage a career within the industry. We started going to campuses, and there was no one like us. And how people were networking into the industry on the corporate side was through relatives and friends and associations. And so then she created that, and we started taking those studios and networks to the campuses. But the students were offered internships, but they couldn't afford to live in LA. So when we went back to the industry and asked them would they underwrite the cost of the housing, we probably have about 50 of them now that are working full time,
That's what's up.
and about 3 that are in management positions now. One of the students called me the other day. He's a manager, he's an agent, and he said, "This is my first time going out of the country, but I'm going to France. No, not to France. I'm going to Italy. I'm going to Italy next week, and I'm gonna, watch the film and with the production crew for about a week, and just to see the possibilities for people.
Yeah.
We get a chance to see the young students really dream, and we get a chance to coach them and navigate them through that process."
See, man, there's programs like that was not around when I was started. When I started, there wasn't us around here. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to lock in the information, or it's the Ghetto Boys Club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, bro. Any help I can assist you with that, bro. I'll be definitely a resource for that.
Right. And these two gentlemen are kind of a part of a group of folks I've known over the last 10 years since I've been in LA for 20 years. These guys have been really supportive of what I'm attempting to do, but now I'm trying to crystallize by having a cohort of people. We're trying to get to a number of 30 people. We have 22 that have been registered for this thing called an apprenticeship program. And the apprenticeship program is really an earn-to-learn program to essentially give these people an opportunity to learn the world of work. We pay them, they get a W-2 opportunity to understand, how to do on-the-job training. And it's through the relational and supplemental instruction in our apprenticeship that they get a chance to match all this experience with mentors, with people like Ted and David and yourself. So what I'm looking to do with this agency is really, that's going to be the almost sunset of the program at the end of it. But for right now, it's trying to put together the team of folks who can help these people get a little bit more structure. And not really career discovery, because I think they all want to be in the entertainment industry, but to figure out what's precise area that they fit in so that they can actually start to match up their interests with somebody who can help them. Because they can change their mind. They're still young enough to change their mind. But the agency was my idea of trying to figure out how to give them real world work experience while they're doing on-the-job training and looking over the shoulder, so we can actually measure their ability to take a problem and create a solution for it. So that's the thing that I'm hoping that we're going to get a chance to do with the event at UCLA next Friday. They have a complex problem right now at UCLA. One of it, they have huge budget cutbacks that are on the horizon for them. And Jay Tucker, who's going to come in via Zoom, is going to explain to us what the opportunities are that may not be there at this time next year. He's been doing this one thing as a Game Changer Award to give recognition to people who've changed the game, not just for people in our sphere of entertainment people, black, brown, diversity, we know that we can't use those words anymore. But those Game Changer Awards have given us a chance to be in the rooms with these people. So I'm hoping that we can actually produce some type of experience that gives us an opportunity to showcase their capabilities. And do some behind the scenes so we can actually show that they had a chance to be in the room. Interview some of the folks from Hulu and the founder of Lionsgate and Issa Rae. All these people are going to be in the room, but they're supposed to give us some direction. We don't want to just be in there willy-nilly. We want to really look at them as a client. And that's what I'm hoping is to explain to them who a client is, how to get one, how to serve one, and how to retain that standard as an agency that can come back and leverage what they do to somebody else.
So, the first part of what you was saying, we can use Vire as a melting pot, because everything from creating the idea to actually getting it distributed to making $1 from that idea, we do that almost every other day. So there's a lot of moving parts, like with the company, and also production and film, and like I was telling him about sync licensing and scoring films. If somebody wanted to be a carpenter, building sets, I'm about to give some guys some money to turn this into a whole, living room, a bedroom. Building sets, that's money that's in the industry. That's a necessity. You're always going to have somebody to build sets. Now with the AI, you can build sets in the AI and just do it on a green screen. You know what I mean? So there's so many different jobs, but we do all of that. So we'll be able to help out with, getting some of the people and plugging them in through various different projects that we have going on here at Vire. When you say about, getting them, it seems like everybody here is almost like an entrepreneur, you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
When you have your own business, you start.
I don't know if anybody here is an employee of anybody. Well, everybody's got somebody that they got to answer to, but I think these are all folks who want to be in control, especially editorially, of what it is that they want to share and be.
Yeah. So the only reason I say that is because being an entrepreneur in this entertainment world is a mindset. It's a complete mindset. You're gonna have your ups and downs. I think one of my friends says my tolerance level is real high. Tolerance of stress.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And there's nothing different from what I do, from what you do. It may just be an added zero. It's the same freaking problem. It's just an added zero. You know what I mean? And if you start thinking in that context, then I think that, we'll be able to now going back to one of the questions you asked, is I stopped working with people who don't do it for a living. I found out I wasted a lot of money on someone trying to do something and me reinvesting a whole lot into them when it's not something that they do for a living. Now everybody has to start somewhere because you still got bills to pay, you still got a life to live and everything like that. It's just that when you get to
your money.
Huh?
Not on your money.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to a certain point, they have to get to level 5 before you take them to level 10. Someone that's at level 1, yeah, I can coach you, I can talk to you, I can show you a direction, but you got to do the work.
So what did you not find in the people that didn't do it for a living that you found in those that did do it for a living?
Determination, caring, not being able to meet deadlines. That's real important.
Not doing some novels.
Yeah, and not knowing knowing their value too. That it hurt me that they didn't understand their value. Like somebody was trying to charge $1,000 for something, and I'm like, yo, bro, this is why you ain't paying your bills. Because they don't know their value because they never been in that position. You know what I mean? They would charge an artist $1,000 to shoot music videos. You know what I mean? But dude, that's $3,000, $5,000 all off the top. And if they don't got it, if they really want to do it, they'll get it because they still pay for that studio time. They still pay for, you know, it's just the value of where they see you at. They see you at $1,000 person. They don't see you at a $5,000 person. Until you act as if, until you be able to produce what you say, that's when you're going to start getting that money. Because I'm expensive for everything that I do. If I'm touching it, I'm very expensive. You know, and that's
Have you recorded this? Because I have so many of my friends that needed to hear that.
Well, bro, I was trying to tell you, man. I mean, no. I mean, well, see, the thing is that this is just introductory.
Yeah.
This guy, for me,
But let me go.
Okay, go ahead.
There's so much power in that message because I'm in a great spot where it's just like there's a lot of my friends who I see potential in, and a lot of people they'll ask me, they're like, hey, you know, we want to do this, we want to go where you're going, and it's weird because hearing that, it's like I wish it had came from you, because like when I'm telling my friends this, it doesn't resonate as opposed to hearing it from someone doing it at a very high level who is not me. I think I just wanted to say
Well,
this is very important. I think people need to hear that.
and again, I met him at the Pan African Film Festival. He was on a panel called Representation, or what? You remember the name of the panel?
it was something about marketing and branding for your films. I turned it into something about finance.
Yeah. So there was a shift. There was a shift in the room because there were people. There was a lady from William Morris or CAA or something like that, and other people were agents or managers and represented people. But he talked about the bottom line of what I think most people are concerned about right now is how do I look at economics? How do I figure out where I can, not only live and thrive, potentially in Los Angeles, of all places, but how do I really make a commitment to make this something that, I'm going to give all to, or just get out of it. And that was what I gravitated towards. So I had to kind of wait to talk to him and meet with him because there was other people who wanted to talk to him. But all the people that I'm trying to reach, beyond the 22 people we have registered right now, in these classrooms, community colleges, four-year universities, even high school students like Aaron, they have no idea about this thing called commitment. And so I would love to have somebody explain to them that either you do it or you don't. There's nothing in between.
But that's a habit. Commitment is a habit. People don't even think about it like that. It's a habit. There's a book called Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, read it. It's about the small little things you do that make the big things of you. And when you committed to a project or you committed to doing something, it's an emotional attachment that you have to what you're committed to. Either it's your integrity that you won't want to let somebody down. Either, when everybody's back is to the wall and they got to pay their rent, they definitely committed, you know what I mean? They're making something happen.
Yeah.
But the problem with us is what we do is we wait till the 3 days before to start thinking that way, instead of actually preparing and doing it. And that's what I said about the little atomic habits.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely a real
I think too many of the folks that I know, it becomes desperation instead of commitment.
Yep, definitely. And even in that room, when we did the panel, that was my second panel ever in my life. Yeah, for 15 years, no one knew I owned all of this. And the sad story about this is that when I started my media company, I had an invisible partner that I think I told you, an invisible partner. I had an invisible partner that was Jewish. No, I'm dead serious. It's sad that me being where I am now, I'm saying like, damn, that's really messed up. But in 97, in 2000, 99, it was crazy because I tried to get distribution and they said no. But then when I called as, I'm calling on behalf of such and such, and I looked up the most common Jewish name, That's the name. No, really, I did. And I got national distribution.
Yes, it's true.
I got national distribution because they wouldn't let me in the room, so I had to force and figure out my own way into the room. But yeah, in that room, what I'm getting to, I think one out of everybody in that room will do what I was asked, telling them, suggesting. I was talking about the 181 rule. If you don't know the 181, it's a tax code that if any investor gives you any money into a project and you make that project into an LLC, they can write off all their taxes up to 6 times that amount. So if they give you $10,000 for a project, on their taxes, they can write off $60,000. And that's for producing a film. But it has to be set up correctly so people don't know about the 181s, the 167s, the tax credits. They don't know about those things, so they don't do them. They just put out a film and do the film and put the money into it and think something's going to happen. There's the whole business side of that. That's the business side that you really got to start learning. It's learn the tax codes for films. Learn what cities and what states help out. There's a reason why 50 Cent put his studio in that one city. You know what I'm saying? That's what the city's giving back to him on taxes. Same thing with Tyler Perry, and why he didn't build it out here. You know what I mean? The Ghetto Boys didn't want him to come in here. You know what I mean? So he went out there and it's cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. So learn that business, learn that side of it. But yeah, there's a lot of books too that can help out. Like I would love to start, I don't know if there's like a book club. So I don't read books, I listen to audiobooks. So because I'm in traffic all the damn time, I just listen to audiobooks to listen to the radio. You know what I'm saying? Pitch Anything is another book. That to tell you how to sell your product.
Wow. And with that, I would like to know if we can go upstairs, because I wanted to see some of your media, or some of the things that could give some people ideas of how you select projects to be involved with or to license or whatever. And then see if we can get Jay set up to be able to come in at 1 o'clock. Is there any questions, suggestions, or comments before we go upstairs?
There is.
I know you gotta leave.
But I want to be still plugged in. And
Well, okay, and this is the one thing I wanted to round off. This meeting was really about trying to meet Dave, but Dave has shared with me that he's done a film festival. But it's really a buy-sell marketplace, if you will. It's like a con. It's like a Sundance. It's like a Telluride. But it's really to be done with more education than those places where you have to really know who, what, why, where, and how before you get on a plane to get there. So he's willing to take this as an opportunity for us to kind of learn the ins and outs of how to build and design a way for us to educate ourselves, but to help make that film festival happen. And so can you talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go upstairs before we leave.
Film Festival, it'll be our 4th year. We did Film Festival digitally on Film Freeway. We usually get around like 300-400 submissions of films from around the world. This year we're actually doing it in person, and I've been to 1 million conferences, and I'm tired of panels, and people don't walk away with nothing. So, everybody can talk about what they did, that's great and everything, but that ain't showing them how to do it, bro. You just looking up at you and saying, damn, I want to be you. So our film festival, we're actually going to have classes. I'm going to charge them $25. I'm not going to try to get anything. So if you're a director and you want to learn how to do an action film, I really have these 2 guys. They're going to have an open space room, and they're going to show you how to do action films, how to do action parts. They're going to say, all right, pull out your notes, pull out your camera. This is the angle that you get. This is how you do it. We standing 2 feet away from each other and we're swinging hard as hell, but you don't know how far we're away from each other based off of the deck. I'm having another class about film financing. So John from Film Hub, from Edge, I'm asking him to attend so that he can sit there and say what makes him want to fund a film. And this is what I need to do. This is what I need to see. Give it to me like this, this, or that. Another gentleman in editing, if you're in editing, or you want to learn how to edit and do the AI stuff. So one of my guys over at HBO that did Game of Thrones, He's literally gonna pull up his computer and everybody's gonna be required to bring a computer to that class. And this is the program we're using, all right, this is what we're gonna download this, all right, this is what we're gonna edit together. So he's gonna show you how to do certain crafts and certain things. That's what's missing. I think in the industry, it's, everybody wants to gatekeep. So I feel as though that our film festival should be something that where you can learn and you can take it and you can go do it yourself. All the way from writing a script, this is how you write a script, using the AI, using the prompts and everything like that, and regular, how to direct, how to approach investors, how to do film financing, leveraging your money, like you put what, 50 grand into one project or whatever, and I bet you just spent the 50 grand.
Yeah.
What I would have did is I would have gave that 50 grand to the bank and get an LTV on it. Get a line of credit on it. Then I would have used the line of credit on that, and my 50 grand would have been sitting there making interest money, inside a money market account that they would put in or something like that. And then taking that line of credit and leveraging that line of credit to do other things to keep it going, so you have, revenue spending, but you're not spending your actual capital. You're spending that line of credit to actually do things. So we're going to be teaching classes, and there's going to be people who actually do it for a living. It's so funny. My son, he was the one who gave me the idea, and it was bad, but it was good. It was an idea because he got in trouble for asking his math teacher. His math teacher was trying to teach him about money, and he asked the math teacher, "Are you an accountant? Have you ever been an accountant before?"
It's a valid question.
Yeah, no, it's a valid question. It's a valid question, and because I teach business classes with kids and everything like that, so he knows some things and he's got to be a little smart aleck, I believe. But that was a valid question, and that's what makes me want to have our film festival be. You walk away with something. I want you to, if you're an editor and looking to be an editor, I want you to walk away with, how to edit a film, how does Game of Thrones become Game of Thrones? You know what I'm saying? What special effects was it? What filters you use? What methods? Everybody has their own style of things. Same thing with writing. Same thing with directing, film finance, action films, action scenes, how to do that. And yeah, it's just going to be a big melting pot. We're going to be doing it at the Chinese Man Theater.
When?
That is in July. That's the third week in July.
I think
Thursday.
more people don't think like you in terms of educating the audience in order to build it. Why do you think more people don't think that way and educate their audience so that they can edit, so that they can finance their own films? Why do you think they're more talking heads than educating the audience?
Because we're not taught to teach. That's just, how we are. We're not taught to actually, come on, look, this is how you do it. We're taught to just go ahead and do it. Like, oh yeah, I'm that guy, I'm this person. We're not taught that. And I think that happens for, our elders. His generation don't go to, his generation to talk about any of this.
Right.
It's a big disconnect.
And one of the things before we go upstairs, Manny, I was hoping Ed would be here, but what I wanted to do is share. I invited Manny and Ed because they had been talking to some of my friends about funding, finance, and it's become real topical right now with some of the people that I know who are tired of not knowing. They have agents and managers. One of them is a Hall of Fame basketball player, and he wants to know more about the nuts and bolts. But yet, he's not really sure about stepping on that side without having representation, holding his hand doing it. So I was hoping Mitch would be here today. He still may show up. But Manny, if you can you share a little bit about what it is that you have and what you can share?
I can share a little bit on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're working with a gentleman in Taiwan who does funding, but this is funding in general for over 10 million, $25 million and up. So there is an interest financing program that he is offering for that. I honestly can't go into a lot of specific details because of NDAs and things like that, but it's something that we're looking to hedge investors' investments. So he can provide an interest payment within 6 months and another 12 months, which can protect an investor. So if an investor wanted to invest $2 million in a film, if they have a certain amount of money that they park inside their own bank accounts, he's able to give interest, and they can literally hedge that. So he's not actually, he keeps his money, but he can use the interest payments to pay for the film, because film is actually a very, risky proposition, because most films don't make money. But this is not just for film, this is also for real estate, for properties, for AI, for software, for any field, any industry. So we do have a gentleman that's helping us with our film funds and our overall projects, because we're not just going to do film. So that's kind of like that. I can show specifics, but and then I can introduce him. He's always available for conversations, but he has to make sure that the people that I bring to him are proper KYCs, which is know your clients through the banks. You can't know money laundering, no people doing any of that. Everything's an absolute proper protocol for everything. So there's a lot of what they call verification, and he's the guy that they try to circumvent too. So there's a lot of non-circumventions and stuff like that, because a lot of people in Asia operates a little bit different than here. What I found out is here, branding, marketing, you want to know everything, everyone wants a list. Over there, you're going to be shocked at actually who has the income. There's a lot of hidden money. They don't want to be known. So you'll see them, you'll see who they are, but they don't like to disclose a lot of the stuff that they're into fully.
Yeah.
But they feel comfortable as they meet people. They reveal more and more and more, and it's a different level. I had to get used to, like what you were saying, you talk at a certain level, but now I can roll 100 million off my tongue like it's nothing when I'm talking projects.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning the process of, and you have to know your value. You have to know what you're bringing. IP is big. And when you were talking about slates, because his main thing is media, he won't look for one-offs. He goes, how can you multiply? If it's a one-off, it better be something that can be put into 20 different ways to make money off of that one-off and spin-offs and all that other stuff. So it's always slates, always. And he's the risk mitigator. So any way that he can mitigate the risk, distribution's already set in place. So he already has multiples. So it's kind of like, it doesn't matter what the amount of film is. Unlike here, it's a little bit different. Here, we're taught you need to have the actor and the distributor and all that other stuff in place. This guy's a little bit different. He's like, no, I'm going to fund the film. I want the IP. It has to be a good story, because once I know the film is $5 million, then you can go to the actor, director, and whoever else, because it's already funded. Now you're in pre-production, you schedule, and you just fit them in. Because what happens if your schedule all of a sudden is a year from now, the actor gets put on another thing? Now the investor's investing in an actor, and it's like, but no, he's like, he doesn't care, surprisingly, about the actors and the directors. He's like, if the film's funded, we'll get them. So it's not a problem. So you're already in pre-film. So these are the people that we're dealing with. Asia's a little bit different, and it costs a lot less to shoot out there than it does out here, a lot.
I did some business out there with a couple of companies. We built our Asia.
Huh?
We built our Asia. Like you said. So it's totally different. Yeah.
Different world.
I'm with an honored, please. It was very nice meeting you all.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
So let's start moving upstairs, Dave.